Are we ready?
We are ready.
All right. Oyez, oyez, oyez. We will call to order the Sierra Madre Planning Commission meeting of Thursday, March 5th. And we have roll call.
Chair Hutt,
Here.
Vice Chair Dennison,
Here.
Commissioners Catalano, Gallus,
Here.
Desai, Hefner,
Here.
and Spear.
Present.
All right, we have a quorum and we will move on. First item before us is the approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion we approve the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, motion carries unanimously. Next, we will go on to approval of the minutes of the February 20th meeting. Do we have any comments?
Move we accept as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
And I abstain, I wasn't here.
Okay, we have one abstention. Motion carries. Next, we'll move on to community input. If there's anybody here tonight who would like to address the commission for items that are not on the agenda, please come forward. Seeing none, we will move on to our first public hearing and only public hearing. But would you want to do the disclosure first?
Yes.
Good, okay. So first we will do disclosure of site visits and ex-party contacts. Does anyone have anything to disclose?
I did visit the site. I tried to make contact with the resident before I went in, but the mowers were drowning out my knocking, so.
I did visit the site and I spoke with the resident.
I did not visit the site.
I visited the site.
I ran by the site twice.
There you go.
I didn't knock on the door because it was too early, but I know the property well.
Yes, I did not visit the site this time, but I do know the property, and obviously I know the ex-planning commissioner applicant as well. Okay, so with that, we will move on to the public hearing for Certificate of Appropriateness 2001. Do we have a staff presentation?
We have a staff PowerPoint presentation this evening for you, fairly brief. So the property location is located at 145 South Lima Street, and the property is located on the southwest corner of Ramona Avenue in South Lima. The property is surrounded by single-family residential uses that are immediately adjacent to the property. Just also to point out that the original plat for this lot was actually two properties to the south of the building and one property to the east. So if you look at that wraparound porch, that probably makes a little bit more sense. The property was constructed in 1887, but per assessor records that I found, it said 1916. It's referred to as the Hunting Lodge. It was constructed by the Pasadena Valley Hunt Club and used as a staging area for fox hunting excursions. The current use is a single-family residence, and it is designated as an historic landmark in the city's Register of Historic Properties. The request is to construct a 288-square-foot vinyl shade structure within the rear yard, and it is visible from public view. Pursuant to Municipal Code, Section 17.82, any additions which alter the exterior appearance as seen from public view of a registered landmark requires a certificate of appropriateness. Photographs of the property. The top one here is the southeast corner looking west. Moving to the right, top corner looking south from Ramona Avenue, and that would be in between the garage structure and the house. That would be the location of the pergola structure. Looking west towards the chicken coop, which was constructed approximately 1935. And we're looking at the rear view from the yard looking east towards the house, and also highlighted is location, general location of the structure. We have some cut sheets, images of the shade structure. It is 12 feet deep, 24 feet wide, 288 square feet, and it is vinyl clad. The design will be in compliance and utilize Secretary of Interior Standards number 9. Essentially, that the new work will be differentiated from the old and it will not compromise the historic integrity of the property or its environment. There are two findings to approve a certificate of appropriateness. First one is that the historic landmark, that the proposed work will neither adversely affect the integrity of the significant architectural features of the historic landmark, and the primary and secondary site structures will not be altered on the property, and the pergola structure is designed as a freestanding garden patio structure, which will show differentiation between the architectural style of the house. And the second finding, in the case of construction of a new improvement and addition, again, that the materials of the detached vinyl pergola will be differentiated from that of the primary and other site structures. And one of the differentiating features of the building is that it is clad with vinyl. It does have references to period design, and I think it complements the overall look of the house as well. So the alternatives before the Planning Commission is to approve Certificate of Appropriateness 20-01, approve with modifications. The Commission can deny the request if they feel that the findings cannot be made, or continue the project and provide staff and the applicant with direction. The homeowner is here, as well as the architect, if you have any questions. That concludes my presentation.
Okay, great. Do we have any questions of staff? Okay, thank you. Would the applicant like to address the commission?
Sorry that this is the only thing on your agenda tonight. I should be home. Okay, when you saw the first Google Earth, I guess, of our property, if you notice all the trees that were around there, most of those trees are now gone. And if anyone visited, say after 12 o'clock, 1, 2 o'clock, and was in the backyard, the heat, even though it wasn't a hot day, the heat was immense. And so we wanted to do something to, because we have a lot of people that come over periodically, we wanted something that would give us some shade, give us some more space, because where we originally were was around the oak tree, and 12 people around that is pretty difficult to have everyone sit down. So we did some investigating. We talked with Glenn Lambden. He gave us some ideas, and my wife found this pergola, for the lack of a better term, picture on the internet, and it seemed to fit our requirements. We cannot put it next to the property or next to the building, because you have to have, what, a 5 or 8 foot setback from it. So we moved it from where we thought we might like it. We moved it west, and it's about 10 feet from the kitchen wall, which I think is sufficient. And on the south side, it's about 12 feet? Huh? 7.5? About 7.5 feet from the property line. So it fits within all the parameters. The house is old. This structure that we would like to build kind of fits with the character of it. It's vinyl because it can be moved. There's different ways you can do it. We're going to mount it on brick, but there's pilings you can use it to make it secure, so that if the next people that purchase the property, or if my kids keep it in the trust, it can be moved and they can do something else with it. So it's not going to be a permanent structure as something mounted directly on the house. It's something that would be appropriate. It's something that fits in the area. And like I've told several people here already, if the lime tree on the north side of the house next to the lemon tree was still there, you couldn't see it from the south side or from the north side. And because the oak tree is now gone, you can see it from the east side. So I'll entertain any questions you might have. Go from there. And I have my mouthpiece that will be able to answer the technical questions. So. Yes.
I'm just curious, you're gonna replant any trees?
I know we're gonna plant a peach tree. We thought about an oak tree, but then we didn't know where, why, or how. You know, we're now looking for the future of future residences in the area. To plant an oak tree, it'll take 100 years to get it, assuming it's the right oak tree. With the city, I think the city likes Engelmann oaks, and that's not really a conducive tree to plant in your backyard for shade. There have been other trees in the yard, and they've all died over the years. Most of the trees in our yard have been over 50 years old. What we have thought about it, we've thought about how we're going to cover the pergola. We've thought about a wisteria vine. I came to the conclusion that that may not be the best thing, because as I was walking in, the vine affected my allergies, and if you have bee problems, you wouldn't want to sit under the vine while it's blooming. But that is on the table. We just don't know where or how. We'll probably plant another lime tree because it grows fast, and that will knock down view on the north side.
Okay, anybody else?
Uh,
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for your time.
Anybody else like to address the commission on this item? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission. Peggy, would you like to start us off?
I think it looks great.
All right.
Yeah, I can make the findings. I was just interested that if they wanted to put a patio or a porch, they would have to go through the whole architectural and historical design review, right? To match the architecture of the house, extent, that kind of thing.
It would still be a certificate of appropriateness.
It would, okay, that's fine. This is still fine. Thank you.
I can make the finding.
Yeah, it fits the house, and it's a nice addition, and I can make the findings.
Yeah, I don't have any heartburn with it. I think it's perfectly appropriate. The only question I had was more in general for these kind of things. Is so having it made out of vinyl, or it's wrapped around pressure treated wood and it's vinyl, because that differentiates it from the house materials, that makes it meet the findings. So in other words, if it was made out of wood, would it not be appropriate?
It would still meet the findings, I
Okay.
believe, if it were made out of wood as well.
All right, so I'm just because that always drives me nuts. Is we like go, well, did we pick a material just so it differentiates itself? Because in a lot of times it's not
As opposed to a
appropriate.
design.
as opposed to like if it was wood, then.
Right.
But that has nothing to do with this. This is fine. I have no issues.
Agreed. I think it's a great project.
Yeah.
A great house. I think the findings are really easy to make. It's good to see an ex-planning commissioner come back too.
It's changed. PowerPoint is fabulous.
I move that we approve the certificate of appropriateness 20-01.
I
I'll
second it.
second. Okay.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. All right. Next, we will move on to Planning Commission reports. Do any commissioners have any reports for us tonight?
I don't think so.
Okay. I think we'll move on to staff reports then.
So we do have 2 items scheduled for our next meeting on March 19th. One of them was a continued item from a January 16th, 2020 meeting, which was 9 Nathaniel Terrace, Lot 5, the revival
Boucher.
Port Cochere House, yes. So that one, all we're going to do is continue it to another date certain for April 16th. They're still
Okay.
working on that project. Also, that's coming back to you that we saw at our last meeting was 1910 Santa Anita. So they're coming back with some of the items that the commission requested.
Okay.
So we'll have one item on that agenda.
I understand there's a proposal for the housing development for the monastery. Is that, there's going to be a city council presentation on that? Is that going to come before us at some point?
Oh, eventually it'll come before the planning commission.
Fast track.
I don't know, you never know.
It's going to come before the planning commission. There is a proposal and presentation at city council's meeting, at the city council meeting next Tuesday.
And so that presentation is just, it's not really part of an official process, it's just sort of informational?
It's just a presentation, not even a discussion item.
Okay.
So
And those,
it
and
won't
those.
count as one of the 5 meetings?
It will not.
Is that what you were getting to?
Good
Did I
question.
beat you?
But the materials for that will be online on the city's website? Okay,
Yeah.
so if anyone wants to see them, they can see them there. Okay, great. Anything else?
One other item, just to give you, also to alert you on March 10th, there's going to be 2 discussion items placed on the agenda. One of them is just the annual progress report that we report to HCD. So I've already submitted that, but I wanted to make that presentation to council. Claire Lynn will be giving that presentation. It's very brief. But then what's paired up with that is a discussion item regarding the housing element update. And I will have myself as well as my consultant, Karen Warner Associates, who's working on that with staff, also on the agenda. And what we're going to look at is there will be a series of maps where we had to identify priority sites for potential housing accommodation to meet our RENA numbers, which is now at, been reduced now to 204 housing units. Various affordability
For our next cycle.
for the 6th cycle of the housing element.
Additional units
Additional units, yes.
or undiscovered units.
And do we get a carryover, the ones that we exceeded the numbers for this cycle?
We don't. What will happen is, well, the new house, you're talking about like ADUs and so forth. No, that wouldn't. They're just talking about what we need to provide to meet the overall regional housing needs throughout the counties,
Okay.
which is over 1.3 million units that are shared amongst the cities.
And when are the materials posted for
They
that?
should be posted by tomorrow.
By tomorrow? Okay, great. Okay, great.
And that concludes my update.
Anything else? Well, we will adjourn until March 19th.